Good morning, traders. Venderman here with FuturestraderElite on your Thursday, the 26th of February. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. I'm going to give it a few minutes, let some people get joined in here before we jump into the time frames on the chart and break a few things down. We do have a few things to discuss. Some moves that it made after hours yesterday, overnight, and then of course into pre-market this morning. We already touched a 4-hour zone just shortly ago, which was a great setup trade. I didn't catch it, but something to look at. Like I said, we'll just give it a few minutes and we'll get some things started here. Give everybody a chance to get to their desk and get set up. And give it just a couple more minutes here, and then we'll jump into the end of the charts and start breaking some things down. We still got about 15 minutes before the market opens, so I'll give it just another minute or so before we jump in there and start breaking things down. If you're looking for to get funded and evals, you can. I use Bullinox and Trade Day. You can use code FTE for the best discounts they have going on at the moment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the charts here. I want to make sure we have enough time to discuss a few things before the market opens. So let's go ahead and hop in to the 4-hour chart here. So yesterday, the breakdown before the market opened, I had been talking about getting through this area here to the left and how much resistance we was going to have. Well, and as soon as the market closed yesterday, we had some, I don't know if anyone was watching in the after hours, but had some crazy ATR come all the way up here and hit this 4-hour zone. Big wick out there and suck back down, which got above this over here, up into this area right here. And it had a hard rejection, really hard. Came all the way back down to the top of this opening range break from yesterday, which we're going to take that off. Got us another 4-hour zone, and then here just this morning in pre-market, we tagged this 4-hour zone from this candle this morning. Got a hard rejection out of that. That would have been a good play if anybody caught that. I wasn't at the desk when it happened, or I would have traded that 4-hour zone. And of course, we got our high time frame trend line. You can see we're crossing through this 4-hour zone, crossing through this one, and then we have a 1-hour or 4-hour trend line here on the bottom side. A couple of them here. And then overall, it's trying, we was discussing where we needed to be for this to start looking a little more bullish, which was getting above all this here to the left. Now that we're kind of sitting up in here, and they held this price really well yesterday comparatively to what we've been dealing with. They held this price up really well. So what we need to be thinking about is, are they going to try to keep driving this up today? Because if so, we need to be looking at this area right here on the chart. We're looking at, say, 26,000, and we're currently at 374. So now we got a lot of resistance to get through coming up through here. So it might not be easy, but we just have to wait and see how the market treats us when it opens today, because it could just drive straight up like this stuff's not even on the chart, or it could react to each one of these levels and reject. We'll just wait and see what happens. But typically, if we can get to 26,000, we'll be sitting in a lot better shape as far as the longs go. Yesterday was more of a, they was propping it up. They would never let it get a very big leg to the downside. They just kept wanting to keep it propped. So it was hard to try to go short anywhere. And then it chopped a whole lot yesterday. ATR got really low. It was pretty tough. We'll see if there's a little more volatility in the market today for a longer period of time. Let's hop this down to the, let's look at this on the 15 minute. Excuse me. So you can see we had that drive up yesterday, and then this happened. This was the drive yesterday, and then this was in after hours when it come up here and tagged, and then this happened at the end of the day, closed right there, but then the market opened and tanked down to here, kind of chopped around, and then got up to this 4-hour zone. You can see we still have this gap here that needs to be filled. Say from, I don't know, about right here to right here. That's something to keep in mind. See if they try to maybe open this up at the open, try to fill this gap. We got the trend line right there on the 4-hour. You know, they could try to fill this, tag the trend line and reject and be down today. Or we'll see if they try to fill it and take it to the upside. Even if they do come up, they could sweep this line and tag that 4-hour zone. That's something else to pay attention to. And then we have some 1-hour zones, these red ones above that. And those are going to be at, hold on, let me see here. This one's 560 to 570. This one here's 615 to 625. And then we got more imbalance zone up top. Lots of resistance up there. We're above the 50 EMA. We're above the golden pivot on the 15 minute. You know, right now this could be a range here. This 4-hour zone is 405 to 415. This one down here is 263 to 273. This could be a range here. See if they just keep it in this 4-hour range when it opens, or if they're going to break to one side or the other. We'll take this down here. Well, let's see what else we have here. Let me look at something here. Maybe I grab these fibs and put the fibs on for a minute real quick. Okay, so the 50% fib is just above, it's at 96. It's just above this 4-hour zone here. And so that's something ideally to maybe look at if we get a hard enough pullback to be thinking we might tag this 4-hour zone. That 50% fib being there would make me believe that if it does get this far, it ain't going to bounce at the 50% fib. It's going to come and tag this 4-hour zone more than likely. Of course, that's also below the S1 pivot. Now, there's a good chance the 38.2 fib, if it were to come down here sitting at 190, 200 area, which that's whole number territory, something to always watch, because whole numbers always, regardless of whether a Pez box or any other confluence is there, just the fact that it's a whole number can make it react in a manner of a bounce or a harder sell off. Always got to pay attention when you get close to the whole numbers. Looks like we're still down. We got about 8 minutes or so, 7 minutes. I'll hop this down to the 1 minute. And then once this loads, I will get this data box on here. Let's see what prior close was 460. So that was that's sitting right up here at the top of this imbalance zone, the one that needs to be filled, that we just put in. The prior low 992. It's way down here. All right, the prior low sitting down here inside a 4-hour zone. They'd have to drop 300 points or better to get there, but that would be something to be watching for if they do get down there. Oh no, that was the prior close. Or I was looking at the wrong line. The prior low is 992. That it's still inside a precision entry zone. It's at the bottom of this precision entry zone. Right here, sitting right on it. So those are all also confluences to be looking at, especially since they are lined in with other things we have on the chart. So that's kind of going to be the game plan today. Got the golden pivot at 316 and this 4-hour zone down here. Excuse me. We'll see. We'll give it a minute to breathe when it opens up. If you have any questions, just throw them into the chat. I'll try to answer what I can. Try to make sure you got everything set up and prepared for the open. We got about just over 3 minutes before market opens. Be ready to have your game plan together. Hopefully today we get a better ATR to trade. It got really low and slow yesterday. Not long after the market opened, the ATR dropped off pretty good. It was like the ATR lasted better in after hours when it spiked than it did in the New York session, which was odd. Of course, everything's looking pretty bearish right now. You know, maybe they come down here, tag the golden pivot and bounce. Or maybe they keep draining off here and we come down and tag that 4-hour zone at the open, you know. Say down in here somewhere.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
That'd be a pretty hard drop still from where we're at. Almost 100 points, just under 100 points to get there. So I don't know. I mean, it could do it, but my concern is the fact that we done tested the 4-hour zone in pre-market and then start getting this sell-off. So ideally, you know, that's 75 points or 65 point drop already since just before 8 o'clock. Got about 1 minute left before the action begins. At the open, ideally I would like to see from here a hard drop to this box and tag that and bounce, you know, and maybe after they put a 15-minute candle in, I'll mark that out and see what the 15-minute range is. That way we can determine on opening range break if it's gonna add confluence to anything else that, as far as the trade plan goes, with the precision entry zones. Yesterday we had or I think it was a couple days ago, had a trade form up in the afternoon on a 1 minute on a head and shoulder break that I walked through as it was forming. That ended up doing exactly what we thought it would do. Was a nice trade plan. I didn't actually take the trade. I was too busy talking instead of trading, trying to explain what I was seeing. All right, market's open here. We're going to bounce off the golden pivot here. Are they going to drag us on down to the 4-hour zone? It's looking rough on the 1, 2, and 5 minute charts. But it's when it looks overly bearish like that that you could see a hard spike. We might just get picked up out of the 4-hour zone and see if this is our range at the open, this 4-hour zone to the one to the top side, as I was discussing right before the market opened. Or if they're going to try to drag this down even harder. And that was a really good bounce there. That right there is what catches people. You know, my trade plan was to get picked up inside this box down here. People automatically start clicking, thinking they're missing the move. next thing you know, they get filled right up in here somewhere. This candle opens up and then returns all the way back. Sometimes it'll open up and go up here and then spike down hard. That's why you got to be careful in the first 15 minutes of the day. Really have no idea which way it might end up trending, especially trying to look at the 1 minute chart. I'm going to switch this over to the 15 minute real quick because I need to see what else we have below that 4-hour zone that might protect if it tries to pierce through that. Wow, that's a big candle there. Really don't have, you know, let's say, let's call it, man, it's almost another 100 points down if it pierces through that box before it would really have much support. But that is what it is. So hopefully it'll get a bounce there. If not, that could be a fast 100 points to the downside, breaking below that 4-hour zone. See if we get that move there. Ideally, you would think, you know, they tag this
Order.
zone and maybe we get to bounce back to the golden pivot. Maybe they can do some consolidation here and try to V this up. Otherwise, we could be thinking we're going down to that Pez box we just put in down there.
Order submitted.
We definitely want to keep it above this 4-hour zone. It's looking pretty weak though, as far as bounces are concerned. You would think if that's what they really wanted, that they would push it a little harder already, now that they've tagged it and kind of swept a little bit here. This isn't quite the reaction that you would look for. You know, they come down and sweep the 4-hour, you know, maybe they wanted to sweep it a little more. Typically you're wanting to see it find its legs and get a hard push here. You know, now they wicked up to this area here, so what we need to look for is a hard push above these two wicks, somewhere up into, you know, the 300, 310 range. Really not looking good. They break that box. It was like I was saying, they're probably going to try to take it down to that box down there. I'm going to hold what I got for now since it's just one. Really can't find any legs and enough buyers to help support trying to drive it back up just yet. You know, I like the dollar cost average in. Usually I would get in, but seeing how is the market's acting this way, I want to hold that one because I can manage the risk better with that one micro than buying in, dollar cost averaging in. You know, I was thinking about I'd hold it all the way down to this box and average in, but you know, maybe we get the push that we're looking for here. Maybe, I don't know. That don't look real good either. They need a harder candle. They need, like I said, get to 300 to 310, close out. That'll look a lot better. And then I would feel a little more comfortable about them trying to come up and tag the 50 EMA. Position sizing is what matters because I only got one. You can sit through and breathe and not get all emotional about the trade. You know, even if it gets way down here, yeah, I'm going to be in the red, but it's not the end of the world. And then wait, because the 50 EMA always acts like a magnet, especially in the downtrend. Even if they do make it up here and this looks bullish, get a bounce all the way up to here, it'll more than likely be a short play up here than to think it's going to keep going up because of the downward pressure we've had so far. I'm not going back in the red though. I know that. I will stop out this time just to protect myself. All right, looks like we're getting a good push. If we can close in the 300 to 310 range, that would look even better. But it don't look like we're going to get it. No, I'm out. But you know, that's what we're looking for. They're acting like now maybe they're wanting to keep, they want it to go, but I don't know if there's enough buyers there to make it happen. We need to close up here. And then if they bring this back down, we need to, we're going to get another leg down, you know, if, you know, somewhere right in here, they need to protect that low. So maybe they retest this and get the bounce up. We'll see. If they break this box, take this low out, then we need to start thinking about this green box down here for sure. And then I'm not 100% sure that I would want to take a trade out of this box long. I'd have to maybe wait and see. I mean, I guess if it got down there really fast, would be worth a first reaction play. 9 out of 10 of them trades depends on the speed in which it gets to the zone to whether or not you should play a first reaction front load trade. If it just comes down here and bounces and comes down here and bounces and stair steps and the low ATR, then it's usually a no-go. ATR now is around 30 on the 1 minute, so. You know, if they could build this out right here and stay, you know, within the area that these bodies are closing, even if they keep it here and keep going sideways, they could be setting this in for an inversion long. So, and if that was the case, then you're going to get a hard push up. And then if we do get this push up, we're looking to get back to that 4-hour zone, fill this imbalance zone up here from the drop overnight when the market opened. That's right over here. It gapped down. And then if we do that, we have that 4-hour trend line sitting above that box. So I think I might play break structure long here, maybe. It's hard to do. They can't get up into that 300, 310 area in here that I said I want them to close at. They keep getting rejected out of that 295 area. The sellers are in control for sure. And it's going to be a fight. They did a really good job yesterday keeping the price held up. You know, with the market we've been in last couple of weeks, I was expecting to see a pretty hard sell-off yesterday, but they did a really good job holding price. They take this low out, they take his box out, we could get to this green box down here like in one candle real fast. That box is 62, 60 to 70 is what it's supposed to be.
Order submitted.
It looks, let me look at the other charts here. Not looking real good. Anybody taking any trades yet? Throw them in chat, long or short. If you did, how'd you do? Or is everybody sitting on their hands waiting patiently? We got about, here in about a minute, I can get back over the 15-minute chart, draw out the orb on it and see how that aligns with what we're looking at. ATR is pushing about 35 on the one minute. I think I might try to take a long maybe here in a minute. I like how they tagged this box, but they protected this low. Let's see if they're going to get back down here and double tap it, or are they going to get through it? It's not looking good on the momentum indicator. It looks like it wants to drain off still. Yep. I think for now I'm just going to wait and see. Maybe I'll wait for the wait and see if they try to come down there and tag that green box, because they can't make up their mind. So that's the 15-minute candle. All right, that's interesting. We need to look at that. So, you know, we break out of the bottom side of this orb, then we're definitely going to this PES box or that S1 pivot there. Very, very interesting here. So opening range is from 342 to 224. About 120 points. or something like that. Yeah, if they break out of here, close out of the outside of this orb here, then I'd definitely be thinking we're headed to the Pez zone or below. That's 224. Yeah, we could get a bounce out of there. This one pivot would almost be not quite, but close to 100 points away.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted.
I'm going to see if we can get the short play to the Pez zone, and then I'm going to try to just hold one down to there, let it cover and pick up in the box for a long, as long as I don't get stopped out, because I'm too tight with my stop if we get the drop. It's trying to make up its mind here.
Order canceled.
I think that might be somewhat of a trap play here. Then with this bounce, I still think we're going to break out of the bottom side of that orb and head down. So I'm going to hold on for now. Maybe pick a couple more up if it goes against me a little bit here. And then see what happens. I'd rather try. I'd like to get this short into that Pez zone. And then, like I said, pick up one, cover one, pick up one in the box to go long for a bounce back out. You know, if we can break down and get down to this 200 area or so, I'm going to put a stop in to try to follow it. It may try to get some kind of bounce here out of the 200 area, since it's a whole number, you know.
Order submitted.
Come on, push it down. Get us a hard push here. They act like they want to push it down and wick out to the downside. maybe for a quick suck up, but
Order filled.
of course I had following it too tight, didn't give enough room to breathe, so I'll just wait and see if I can get filled down here in the entry zone for a long. $166 in. Yeah. Me not being patient enough and giving it enough time to breathe is probably going to cause me to leave some on the table, which I'm used to. But, you know, probably had I left stop at break even or something, this would have played out the way I expect it to. At least as far as going down here and tagging that and going long. Now, as far as it bouncing there, I don't know. We're about to find out, it looks like. Ideally, it'd be nice if it tags down in that zone, and even if it only bounces and say comes back and tests the bottom of the orb box back up in here around 225 or 220, somewhere up here, just a hard down, bam, and then pick it up and start driving back up this way, even if it's for another leg down. Anybody out there catching this short? Sometimes you get left behind, sometimes the plan don't work, and then nothing's ever a straight line. I mean, we could still come down to the Pez zone, but I mean, we could, you know, it could drive back up, say, to the 245, 250 zone area before getting another leg down. But I mean, it does keep creating lower lows, so that's something to keep in mind. Unless this is just a sweep out of the opening range break and that they find some legs and start driving this up, which that's a possibility. It's just hard to get on the bull side for longs when we're so far below the 50 EMA and the overall trend is so bearish. They'd have to get this back above around 260 at the moment to maybe think about a break of structure play long. ATR still sitting around 23, 24 on the 1 minute. Coming up on that 9 o'clock hour. I'm just going to sit on my hands for now, play it safe. You know, if they bring this leg back down and they tag that precision entry zone and don't really give me the bounce that I'm looking for, I'll probably dollar cost average into the play. Say it goes down to the S1 pivot, or maybe sweep that. I'll wait and see if it gets down there to determine if I want to get dollar cost average in, or if I just want to cut and run on the trade and take the loss. I don't really want to hold from there to the 4-hour zone, because that's about another 80 points, it looks like. All this, though, this is all for education purposes only. It comes with risk, so trade at your own risk. I trade every day by structure. Structure usually never lets you down. And same with if you're in a trade and you try to, a lot of people say it's a bad idea, dollar cost average in a trade. Everybody has their own opinions and strategies. I don't mind doing it, but if you are going to do it, you need to try to do it within structure and know where to do it at, and not just do it to do it. You know, like if I get in this Pez box, I could hold one all the way down to the 4-hour zone, which is where higher time frame structure is, which that means that's where I would want to DCA into the trade if I was going to. And you could possibly do it at the pivot here as well, but I wouldn't do it heavy. If I wanted to say I got in here and I end up in this box down here against me, I'd rather DCA into the trade heavy here. If I only got one, you know, I could pick up 5, or I could even pick up 9, which would give me a mini, but that would move my price all the way down into this area. So as soon as I got a bounce into the green, all I would have to do is sell 1, and then my price would drop to the bottom of wherever this entry was at down here. And so then my average would be down here. And so once it bounces back this way to the pivot, you got a lot of green on the table. And to me, that is good risk management when you're doing it with inside structure. It's when you get in here and it comes to the S1 pivot and you only have one, and you decide, well, I'm going to buy 5 or 6 or 7 more. And then the next thing you know, you're down here in this, because that S1 pivot ain't sitting anywhere important as far as structure goes. Let's see here. No. Although just below it there's some support just below it. So, you know,
Order fill.
each into their own on how they want to manage their risk there. I had my concerns about whether or not this box here would be a very good box to play along out of already. And now here we are to that pivot. Now I have to watch this reaction to this pivot to determine on whether or not I think this is a good spot to maybe DCA into the trade, or should I try to cut and run, or maybe wait and see if we come down to this area down here. I'm gonna buy a couple here and just see what happens. Maybe we get a decent little push. but I also don't want to be holding
Order submitted.
if this thing tries to whip back the other way. So I'm going to have to stop out just on the other side of this pivot to protect some of my capital. You know, if I can get one good push up here to tag that one order, then it's going to drop me down close to the pivot as far as my entry goes. But first I got to get that push there. I need that bounce in order to make this trade even work the right way.
Order
Like that, and then I'm automatically going to move my stop into place so that I can take it. And then I need to sell one here,
order. Order.
and then I'm going to adjust this down to 1.
Order
I'm
cancel.
going to move my stop up to here. Maybe I should give it a little more room to breathe than that. Yeah, let me move this. No, I need to lock in my gains. I don't need to be moving my stop around. You know, we should, depending on what kind of push we get, we might, you know, I'm going to take profit right here if it'll get there.
Order submitted.
In this down market, I'm not trying to catch a whole move. I'm just trying to catch a portion of the move for a base hit. I've already got my base hit, even if I stop out right here.
Order.
All right, I'm stopped out. I got my base hit. I'm good with that trade. So I hope that helped in real time. That's how I manage my trades a lot of times. When people ask me about me putting my stops in or why they don't see them sitting on my chart ahead of time. And, you know, that was with no emotion. That seemed pretty calm to me. Pretty simple. So now I'm going to rotate out of these accounts. I was copy trading. I'm going to move on. Hey, what's going on, Room Beats? Glad you're here, buddy. Let me, I need to rotate out of some accounts real quick. All right, I got some evals here. Also, I need to try to pass today some bull and ox evals. If you're in the market for some bull and ox, use code FTE for the biggest discount they have right now. I think I can pass these. It's a couple 25Ks from bull and ox. I'm pretty close to passing them on already. I need to try to get a little more in these. You see, that's why I had my I had my order just a minute ago on this bounce trade right here, up here with this wick on this candle. I said I just need to take my profit because this is exactly what I was expecting to see. And this down market we're having, we're not getting really huge bounces. And so structurally, you need to be putting them, take profits, you know, at your structure points. To lock in your gains, because you know they wicked above it, but then they suck down and push down here, and then you give back a whole lot of your green. Now, yeah, this is going to push up, but unless we can break, you know, above 190, 195, this is going back down. All these wicks up here, it's trying to push up, and they just say, no, you're not going up. We're going to push you back to the downside. And so now I'm thinking, for me, I would think, well, I don't want to take a long play in this really at all unless we get down to this 4-hour zone. You know, if I go long right here where we're at, what would be my purpose? There's nothing on the chart screaming at you saying that we're going to end up here, or why would I get in short right here? Because it don't say I'm going to end up in this box necessarily. I got to have a reason, you know, some flow to the decision making on what's going on. Now we break this wick here with a strong candle. We break 190 with a strong candle. That's break a structure on the 1 minute. So if we break it hard enough, ideally you want to break it right here at 190, and you want the candle to close above 210 up here, 212, because you break this structure and close above this structure all in one candle. Then you got a trade on your hands thinking, okay, they found the buyers, they found some legs, now what are they going to try to do? I would be thinking, oh yeah, they're about to try to run this up at least back to the 50 EMA. So then you break a structure up here at 210, 212, and take profit at 245, say 240 to 250, up around that 50 EMA. That would be a good base hit. That's something I would be looking at while I'm staring at this chart. To the downside, I'm looking at this S1 pivot. They take this out. They take this low out. If they break 130, we're going straight to this 4-hour box, more than likely. It's about being able to make decisions on the fly pretty fast when you're intraday trading and trying to keep up with everything you can see on the chart, and then watch for that momentum. Currently the ATR is about 21, 22 on the 1 minute. I might take a long here, maybe in a minute. I usually trade with a little bit more risk with these evals. We was trading earlier. I was in them funded accounts to try to be a little safer. Is NFB on the stream today? All right, so here we come. We're coming down onto this 4 hour. You know, I think we're going to try to go long out of this box for sure. That's a really hard candle down. Now watch it bounce back up 60 points before it tags the zone. We're about to find out though, that's for sure. I'm hoping to get picked up out of this precision entry zone before we get a good bounce. I think maybe with 3 micros, if they'll pick all 3 up, I might be able to get through these evals here. Hopefully. Our next 4 hour zone down here is 17 to 27. And then the one below that, the prior low is 992, so. Hey NFB, I'm glad you found that first off. I'm gonna DM you later today. I meant to reply to you the other day. So I'm gonna try to make sure I don't forget today. I'll send you a DM about all that. I was really hoping to get all filled on all 3 of these right here. You know, I want to get filled here and I want to look at take profit, you know, say I think we should get back to the S1 pivot. Yeah, no problem. Natalie, no problem. Hopefully, we don't get no drop here to this other 4 hour zone, that's for sure. At least not right off the bat. Hopefully we can get somewhat of a bounce. Well, that ain't good. That's alright. They're evals, right? How low will you go? So, they tagged that one, and now, are they going to get the bounce off of that? At least a hard enough bounce to turn this up. No, it's to turn this around. You gotta love it when you're so close, you're just about to pass some evals and then you get caught up in a short trade like this. Almost blew them evals and figured, well, I might as well full port now. And I'm going to close out of that. So I guess I still have the opportunity to pass them today. I closed out of that trade. I was in at 10, so it was one mini. Closed out, almost blew them and full ported out of this bottom of this box right here. And so now I got them are 25s. I still need to get about 500. I still am in the red, like 250 bucks in them 25Ks. So I'm still down on the trade, but was able to salvage a little bit. Luckily enough, because I want to pass those today. All right, I'm going to hop this over to the 15-minute. We got a lot of space here on this 4-hour chart. I mean, between them 4-hour zones. We need to see if we got anything else here for support. Well, and of course we don't. Maybe we could be looking at something like something like that. Maybe get back over to the 1 minute. We'll make that bigger so we can see what we're looking at. I didn't find, even though there's might be some little more support, it's still real close to that 4-hour precision entry zone right there. But there's a possibility that it could bounce. There's a possibility it could bounce out of this box and never touch that 4-hour zone. Is a possibility, but just have to wait and see. This is one of those bleed offs like you would see on a Friday, not on a Thursday. I just realized I bought 5 of those minis at one time. I didn't realize that's what it was set on. I mean, 5 of the micros, I'm sorry. I do not trade no minis with no 25K account for sure. Well, I guess I have. If it's an eval, I might. But not if it's a 25K funded account. That's not happening. All right, where's our hard push down to this green box? If we can get a hard enough push, I can should be able to pass these right here. Oh, come on. You know you want to go down there and tag that box. Yeah, I'd say don't look like there's a whole lot of support going on, and we're not probably going to find any unless we get to that green box we just put in, or that 4-hour box, which is just below it, you know. So it looks like we can get down to that precision entry zone for sure. These 25Ks will be passed, which was a close call from earlier trade. gonna leave this last one enough room to breathe. Try to, because I think even nothing's ever a straight line. You know, this could bounce back up. It could even bounce back up here and go above my entry, which I don't want to do that. I'll just have to stop out and get back in. But there's still no real support here in this chart anywhere to the left. So for it to just bounce in thin air would not make much sense, other than people chasing the bottom. The only thing that would make sense is people are guessing the bottom whenever we get these bounces that are in thin air. There's nothing structural about it to make it bounce there. Zero support. Other than we got close to the whole number, of course, but still. You start getting a drop like this that we're witnessing, there's no reason to be trying to guess the bottom at a whole number. Well, we still didn't get it. See what kind, if they try to give us some kind of little bounce here, or if they're going to keep on dragging this down. All right. So you see I was obviously following too tight with my stop, got stopped out. Now this thing wants to come, acts like we're going to keep dragging it down now. This box here, what I say, is from 857 to 867. This 4-hour zone is 821 to 831. I don't know if I want to play a bounce out of this box when we have this 4-hour zone down here. Especially with the way it's moving. You know, I tried to play that 4-hour zone up top and I got caught in it to the downside. This one up here, and it just pierced through it and went all the way down to the next one. I sold in that, full ported in this, caught this wick, which got me back to, I think, just over 26K. And then caught some more of this other move here. So I might have to try to play it a little bit safer with these evals. I definitely don't want to be trying to full port, but I should be able to pass these out of whatever we might find right here in this area. Okay. So this is setting up to look also like an inversion long, but I don't know why, other than we tagged that whole number. But because we're in a bearish trend, even if this was an inversion long, I mean, well, that'd be a long ways away. You know, we get back to the 50 EMA on an inversion long, and it still be bearish. So got a lot of ground it could pick up here. I might try to play a break structure here. Yeah, why not? See if they really want to bring us up for another leg down. Looks like they want to take another leg down. No break of structure play there. Almost 9:30.
Order fell. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order fell. Order submitted. Order fell. Order fell.
All right. Well, I salvaged one of them evals, or I don't mean salvage. I passed one of those already. I need to give me a second. I'm copy trading. I need to get it off there before I get caught up crazy somehow and end up not passing that thing. Okay. Somewhere inside this mess, I got to figure out where to pick up about another $100 on this other one. ATR on the 1 minute's around 42. It's high. You guys sitting on your hands, or you guys trading any of these, any of this short? Hope you guys caught some decent plays out of all this mess that it's doing this morning. All right, this time I'm really not. I'm going to try to wait. I'm going to take a trade. I'm going to try the bottom of this box with one.
Order submitted.
Me getting caught up in this break of structure play right here is a good example of why you should wait for the retest instead of just buying ahead thinking it's going to break, because as soon as I entered, I was in the red, as you could see, like $200-300 or however much I was in the red. And you know, had I just waited to see if it actually come up here and broke his structure and then retested structure for the entry, I would have never found myself in that position. Whereas I found myself in the red and then had to buy, you know, I ended up with 22 micros so that I could get my cost down here. But, you know, it got me where I need to be, I guess. So I need to aim for another 100 to get this other one passed so that I can rotate out to some other accounts. And as much as, you know, as much as I want to pass it and I only need $100 I can be the first one to tell you there's been times when all I needed was $30 or $50 to pass an eval and somehow blew it trying to force making 30 or 50 bucks. So I'm not going to force trying to make $100. I'm going to wait until the trade sets up for me and comes to me, and then I'm going to take that trade and manage my risk from there. Now I put my order in this box here at the bottom side of this box because inside my trade plan that I'm thinking of when I take this trade is I automatically expect to hold it to this 4-hour zone if it goes against me. And I will DCA into this trade somewhere down here, because if it was to do that to me, we not only have the 4-hour box, we have the S2 pivot at 813, and then we have a 4-hour trend line just below that. So when I look at this, I see support here at the 4-hour zone. I see support at the S2 pivot, and I see heavy support on the 4-hour trend line. So even if I get in here and don't get the bounce I'm looking for, I know that I can feel comfortable trying to DCA into the trade if it comes down in this area somewhere or down to the trend line. I'd prefer not to hold it to this trend line against me, but who knows? Still looking really rough on the 1, 2, and 5 minute charts. It's kind of surprising that it still looks so rough. I mean, I guess it shouldn't. I've seen plenty of days where we run down all day, but and then like this, put my order at the bottom of my box. They decided to leave me at the train station and go the other way. But I'm gonna you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to leave my trade there. I know that. Now my trade's going in this box. For the simple fact that they tagged that box and made this move, our next leg down is going to enter this 4-hour zone. And the train always comes back around. So I'm going to sit on my hands and stay at the station. Not chasing, not getting caught in thinking that there's about to be another break of structure play. Got to wait for proof. And just when I do a quick glance at this chart and look at this and think about break of structure, I can't even imagine thinking about it unless we're back up here to this area. Even though these are micro break of structures, you can break this one here, and each one means it gets to a higher time frame. By the time you break this up here, it's a 5 minute. We're on 1 minute chart. This is more than 5 minute candles. So this will be a break of structure on 5 minute back here. And then so on and so on. This will probably be a 15 minute back here. That's 9:19. Yeah, that'd be a 15 minute back there. So when I look at it, I think, well, it's probably not worth playing break of structure plays unless you can get up there and break that. The market is not bullish enough to, when we're in a bullish uptrend, you can play these micro breaks on a 1 minute and catch the trade early, because when they break in a bullish trend, they tend to keep trending. They'll break this one, and so on and so on. Maybe get a pullback, then it breaks the next one. But in these bearish trends, what you witnessed right here with me in that trade is what you usually get in a bearish trend. I know better than that, but I guess it was a good example. The main thing is just stay calm. Stay calm through it all. Like right now, I'll be like, oh my gosh, break structure. I got to jump in. Look at that candle. It's moving. I got to jump in. And then you end up like I was 10 minutes ago. 300 in the red, real fast, one candle. Don't do what I do. Never do what I do. Ooh, look at that. They must have heard me talking about I didn't want to play it unless it comes up here and breaks this structure up here. And they're trying to trap me again. I know what they're doing. I'm not falling for it this time. Good bounce out of that box though, for sure. I'm glad we drew it on there. Did anybody play that box for a long? If you did, you just got 100 points. Why didn't I think about doing that? Look, now they're up here trying to actually break the structure where I was talking about. Man, really?
Order canceled.
So, I'm not falling for this. You know, I mean, maybe they're going to drive us back up here to 50 EMA. I need to start looking for a short play. Matter of fact, I'm about to get ready for one. As soon as my kill zone indicator gets up here to this red line, this 80, and I get my first red candle close, I'm going short. And I hope it's back up here inside one of these 4-hour zones or the 50 EMA. That'd be even better. That'd be enough confluence with my indicator, my spot on the chart, plus my first red candle. This is all trap. I hope anybody that's in this long is taking profit along the way, because when this takes another leg down, it's probably going to be ugly. And if it ain't a trap, we need to get above the 50 EMA and prove it. That way we can play this thing long, because we got a lot of ground to make up if it's going to go long. Oh, yeah. Really, really nice drive. I hope somebody took that out of that box down there. I wish I had my order at the top of the box now instead of the bottom. Could have got picked up myself. Really nice move.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted.
Looking for a hard candle down. I hope I can find it. You know, maybe a pullback down to at least this structure here. Somewhere, say like right there. Yeah, that'll work.
Order submitted.
A little bit further.
Orders,
Oh no.
orders canceled.
Well, I'm out of that. Man, still need $10 more. Can you believe that? Mm-mm-mm. Looks like got the buy signal on the 1 minute. What's the 2 minute look like? No buy signal there. So really what I'm gonna look for here, because I need to rotate out. I just need to get like $10 more and I can get out of this account. That'll be 2 of those passed today. Question is can I get it long right here, or is it going to try to reject? I'm going to say that I can maybe get $10 there. Just need a little push. Here we go. Trying to get $10 so I can pass eval, and I'm going to lose 100 probably. I just need it to come up there and tag that order so that I can be done with it. Not going to try to hold out and see where it's going to go or how far. I just want to get what I need and move on. You know, a lot of times you get these buy signals on the 1 minute. You can almost always be guaranteed a 5 or a 10 point move off of them usually in your direction. So like if you're scalping or something. Seems like with what they built here with this little structure though, that they would at least try to drive this up here to the 50 EMA. All right, good job. Come up there, tagged it. Let me confirm that. 505.20. All right, I can rotate out of them. Be right back with you. Let me see here. All right. All right, now what are we going to do, guys? What do you think we got? We're getting close to that 50 EMA. Structure looks strong right now in the 1 minute, but I could really see this dragging down at the 50 EMA. We'll see what happens, how it reacts when it gets up in this area. It might sweep it, you know. To really get any kind of bullishness on it, we need to get above it, close above it. See where break a structure right here about 32, 33 just above it. So we could be looking for rejection just above it, a little sweep of it, and then down. Plus all the momentum indicators are overbought, it looks like. Yep, 1, 2. Of course the 5 minute is not, but the 1 and 2 minute are. They're stretched. Getting rejection off of the 50 EMA, first red candle. Normally would take this short on the close of this first red candle, but sometimes I do not want to do that depending on the size of the candle. I'm going to try this one here.
Order fill.
See if we can get us a bigger push to the downside. You know, ideally you'd think if they can push this down and take these wicks out right here that they wick down to, you'd be looking at this structure here on the 1 minute where it broke is a take profit. So around 937 or so, which would be in line with kind of the way the market's been moving lately. We had discussed it, making this move possibly all the way back to the 50 EMA and then having some sort of a rejection there.
Order filled.
I don't like what they're doing with this though, so I'm gonna get out of that.
Fill.
That first red candle and rejection here should have been harder than that. They might try to take this up. It looks like they really do want to try and take this up. It's hard to though because of where the momentum indicators are at, and the fact that we're in a bearish trend. You know, but I mean they could want to take this up. We got a lot to make up for to the upside, but what makes me think, you know, when I just try to take this short at the close of this red candle, this candle really should have pushed down harder, and because it did not, and what this did, now the ATRs dropped down to about 23, 24. If the ATR keeps dropping and they start taking this into some sideways zone right here within these 4-hour zones, into some kind of chop, and they let these momentum indicators drain off to the downside, they could be setting this up for a bigger move to the upside. So that's something to keep in mind, something we'll be watching for. If they can't take out this low right here, you know, let's say 9.75 or so, if they keep trying to protect any of this, then they're up to something for probably a move to the upside. But they gotta hold it. Means they're probably gonna try to chop it sideways if they don't break the 50 EMA yet. So I guess for the main part, I guess what we would be looking at in theory is this right here for right now is the zone that we need to be paying attention to. And say that they come out of the bottom of this, what we're going to be watching for is, does the body close outside? You know, we don't care about any wicks. It could wick down to here, but if the body closes in this zone up here, and same out the top side, if a wick gets all the way up here, but the body closes in here, we're going to try to keep an eye on what they're doing here. Now, say they break out of the bottom of this, still they have this little bit right here to deal with. This could work its way out of the bottom of the box, you know, and then work its way back in. And so say they could easily work out of the box to this blue line and still be generally inside the same chop zone. Guys, I'm going to mute myself for just a second so I can take care of some things real fast. I'll be right back with you. All right, I'm back. Looks like we're still chopping around inside that little zone we marked there. Anybody, everybody green today so far? Hope y'all are landing some good trades. Looks like we are going to stay in the chop box, it looks like to me. They really didn't drain these indicators off enough across all the charts. This needs to get down here to the green line maybe. I mean, it's down far enough that we could get a spike out of here somewhere, but then it'd be looking more like a trap than anything to catch people. You know, spiking up here, people start chasing, they start dumping it again. Not really liking the way this is looking myself. So I'm just going to have to sit on my hands for now. Kind of watch it from the sidelines. While we're doing that, let's take a look at it on the 15-minute again. No, let's go to the 4-hour real quick. We can get rid of some, in case we need to move some zones. I know a new candle was formed at 9 o'clock. Let's see here. Wow, look at how it sucked that there up on this 4-hour. Hopefully we don't get back down there. I'll come back and put a box in there later. We've been having a really good drive up to, you know, all this, and then this drive here to break some of this to the left here. And then, man, what a hard slam back down. Although we stayed above this 4-hour trend line, that would have been real nice had this right here got down to that trend line while we was down there looking at it here in the last half hour before we got that bounce out of that green zone. So it is what it is. That still ain't bad, you know, that we sucked all the way back up here. Because they protected this, you know, higher low. So that would be a concern, you know, if we break this trend line and then we take out that low, that higher low, then it defeats everything that we've been working towards getting back to the bullish side. Go back to the 15-minute real quick. See what we're dealing with. Yeah, see, there's our little green zone we put in where we got our bounce off of. The one I wasn't too sure would hold there since this was down here. And great bounce out of that. But then there's that trend line. We got really close to it today. Well, I say close. We got down in that box in the 860s, and this is down at about 60, 70 points away. So now, you know, that we got some heavy imbalance up here too, though. Now we gotta say, let's grab us a box here on the 15-minute. That's imbalance that needs to be filled on the 15-minute. And no, I don't know if they got it in it, but we need to be thinking that they might try to aim for this. That imbalance is from 67 to 182.50. All right, let's get to the lower time frame. It looks like they're breaking out of trying to do something there. Get over here and see what they got going on. Oh, it looked different on the 15 minute. So now that we had that imbalance zone on the 15 minute chart, and it look, we got a 4-hour zone in it. The S1 pivots up here. That Pez box there that needs to be deleted. And all out of the opening range break. You know, we put in that 15-minute order box, and then we come out, retested, and just huge drop out of the bottom side of that. You know, so even if you didn't take your first trade till about 9 o'clock this morning on this retest, man, what a move. And now we're barcoding. Barcode machine. Now when I drew this box on here, I didn't actually expect it to stay exactly inside this box this well. Thought maybe it would try to drop out to this line and work its way back up, or vice versa. So we got a close here above the 50 EMA on this green candle, that candle that just closed. And let me go check trade and view charts out real quick. They look like they're going to make a little push here, although the 1 and 2 is overbought by a lot. In the, well, the 2 minute is. 1 minute still got some room to go. 5 minutes at the 50-yard line. You know, it's kind of in the middle of the indicator there. So, I mean, there's room because they can stay up here in this whole area for the next 2 hours and slow grind this up. It's a possibility. So now we closed above the 50 EMA again. That last candle wicked out and tagged the 50 EMA. We closed above it, tagged it, closed above it. This just tried to tag the 50 EMA again. So they might be trying to do something here. We'll see. I'm not gonna try to do anything here. Now see, this could be they took it outside of our box. Now they're bringing it back in. If they close inside the box, then it's the opposite of what I was talking about doing down here. If it come out, all that's doing is widening the range of the chop by a little bit. Having a hard time with my words today. All right, so now we close back inside the box. So see, now we know we're still inside the chop zone for sure. They didn't have enough legs to push this on out and turn it into anything. So what I would like to see happen is for this kill zone indicator to drain off to the oversold green line down here somewhere, while price stays within some kind of zone here where we're at. Then it would make me feel a little more comfortable about maybe taking a long if that's what they're going to try to do. Taking a long in any trade while this indicator is all the way up here to the overbought side is a little against the idea of a good long, because if it's already up here in overbought zone, you're putting up too much risk because you don't really know when that one candle is going to come in and change the whole factor of that. you get a hard enough 1 minute candle down and it can take this indicator from where it is down to here in that one candle. So, but if I'm down here already and the trade looks like it wants to find some momentum and go along, I feel more comfortable. Typically when that happens, that indicator is at least going to stretch back to the overbought side if there's momentum, which means you're going to get a pretty big decent move to the upside. And then even if you need to DCA into the trade because it only comes up here and then dies out a little bit or pulls back, you got room to manage the trade. I'm assuming that more than likely everybody's just kind of sitting on their hands. I hope you're not caught up in sitting in holding a position, waiting to see what it's going to do. I thought about taking a long position and just setting the order below the 50 EMA, but it's still too much. It's too much in a chop zone still for me to do that, because it's kind of like me just throwing my money in a trash can. If I do that just to try to be positioned right now, then I'm probably going to get stopped out and lose. So it's not even worth it. Be better to wait and see if we can break one way or another and maybe get a retest. Right now the ATR is finally, it's at 17, so ATR might be draining off some. Things might smooth out a little more. You know, we got structure break here at 34. We wicked above it over here, so if we can close above 34, get a candle, close above all this, better this wick since that got put in. So if we could close above 42 with a nice candle, things might be looking to the upside. They still hadn't allowed to drain the momentum indicator off very well yet though. Thing is they're built, it's kind of like they're flagging this out, you know. You got your pole here, now you got a flag around here. All right, that looks like they're going to try to maybe close above this. We'll see. They still got a 30 seconds or so. 30, yeah, about 30. They're trying, just keeps getting pushed down. Seems like they're trying to do something here, but whatever they're trying to do ain't working out too well. The ATR just dropped down to 13. I guess I'm probably going to sit back on my hands and look for a short play because they're going to have this, this thing's going to be so overbought. Even though they traded this sideways, they never allowed the momentum indicators to drain off. So I'm going to have to think that, yeah, they might hang out in the overbought zone and try to grind it, slow grind this, but I'm going to have to sit back and wait for the weakness. They might do that, but eventually it's going to get tired and want to drop. And for now, that's the trade I'm going to have to look for. Especially if they don't throw momentum in this. You don't want to take entry for long and it be in the wrong spot. Be different if there was a lot of momentum coming into this thing to push it back up. But at least they did break out of this chop zone right here. Maybe they retest the 50 EMA right here for a bounce, but who knows? We'll see. I could maybe see getting long. No, not really. No. They might try to take his leg down. Next thing you know, we'd be below this chop zone. It says the ATR is at 17. It feels more like maybe 10, if that. I wasn't paying attention, but that right there, that close of this red candle would have been one of the trades that I normally take after this move here, with the indicator being up over 80 and then getting that first red candle at the close. Would have been in at 51 and we're down there, what, at 33? Almost 20-point move. Well, it did get down to 20 points already at wick down there. Would have been a nice scalp play anyway. I was looking at something else and wasn't even paying attention. That's all right. Like I said, they might try to test this 50 and bounce it. They still need to drain these indicators off more than that, though. Almost to the 500 milestone of subscribers on YouTube. I appreciate it. Anybody that's subbed. Hopefully we can be to 1,000 before long. Look like a little bit of momentum trying to come into the chart there for a minute. I have a real hard time trying to trust getting long on something in this kind of trend on this, or when we're in an overall downtrend on the higher time frame. Long plays are much easier to execute in a bullish uptrend. I was hoping somebody told me that they took this long out of this green box when we put it in down there. I tried. I had my order set at the bottom of that box. 857. Got down to like 861.50 or so. 862. And that's the move right there that you can't chase. The plan for me was to get in at the bottom of the box. It decided not to come to the bottom of the box. And then, voila. Huge move. 862 to 66, so say 62. What is that? 100, 200 points or so? Crazy move. Crazy move. It happens though. Another 100 points or so get us up here to this break of structure area. No, I might have to try to play this long. Once again, they're not letting it drop very much, so it's kind of what they was doing yesterday. Once they found somewhere to bounce, they just didn't want to let it come down anymore. It was like every pullback was, you know, just
Fell.
it was always very minimal. The pullbacks were. I'd like to see them try to drive this on up here to this S1 pivot, possibly try to get back up here to this break of structure. Say about 150 to 160 area maybe.
Order filled. Order submitted.
Coming up on about 10:30. You know, surely although that's a lot of push there. These was some hard candles to the downside over here. A lot of resistance right here to try to chop through. Without there being some kind of news to help it along the way to force it up, I don't see any, like, not this time of day, any huge green candles getting put in to the upside like these to the downside. This could be more of a long drawn out grind to the top side if they're wanting to take it there. But they've had several opportunities to try to, you know, let this drop if they want to drop it on some of these pullbacks, but then it got caught here at the 50 EMA. You know, I probably should have waited and took a trade coming at the 50 EMA to go long, but once again, I figured out they're going to try to break structure in this candle and keep pushing, and that ain't what happened, at least not yet. You know, if they can at least come up here and tag this structure up here where I can get out of two of them, That'll drop my entry price down some, put me in a better position to stay long once they get up here. Seems like they might want to slow grind this to the upside. It's just going to take time. I didn't mean to get in with 2 at first. I accidentally double clicked, I guess. I only wanted 1. So now I ended up with 4 because I DCA'd in a little bit. I'd rather have 2 right now because I can manage the trade better if it were to try to go against me a little more than I want it to, but I'm just going to have to deal with where I'm at. Ideally, I'd like to see something like it getting up here. Well, that's whole number 20 or 100. You know, maybe I need to put that around 95. Finding a little bit of a push there. Don't look, as of yet, don't look like it's going to be strong enough yet. There's going to be, you know, there are certain areas on the chart, there's certain structure breaks that are going to make a difference. You know, if they can get up here and break, let's say they break the 100, the whole number, that's above his structure break right here. But if they can break that, that's where you might see momentum come in more to the upside for this big candle here. So, you know, say that they break above 100. I'll set that one up there. I'll try to get out of these. If they make this leg up, I'll try to get out of these 2 first before it even hits the whole number in case the initial reaction were to reject. And then that'll drop my last 2 down a little bit. But then if we get above 100, you could see a pretty quick move to the upside. You should be able, and it may not be that level, but there's going to be a level that's going to crack if they keep trying to take this to the upside. One of those levels that cracks to the upside is going to bring in some momentum. Question is which one? So I keep kind of chopping this around a little bit again, even though they need to put in a higher high here. But while they're doing this, they're somewhat, with these small legs, they're letting the momentum indicator drain off some, yet maintaining price action. So that could be a good sign to the upside. You know, maybe it'll be 12 o'clock before it ever gets up there. I don't know. I'm in it now, so I'm going to try to wait it out. What do they say? Be patient and let it breathe. Give it time to do it. So let's see if we can give it some time to do something. Trying to just get some more base hits here. Not trying to go for anything crazy. No home runs or nothing. And payouts are home runs. That's the way I look at that. Okay, Natalie. Appreciate you being here with us today. And I'll try to remember to DM you here in a little bit.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled.
Maybe they don't want to take this back to the top side. Maybe that there sweep into this area up here. Maybe they want to take these legs down. Now that we're back below the 50. Although they finally got the indicators to drain off by bringing it back down here. Would think maybe they've put this leg in. You know that it's a good area. It drained everything off to give it room to expand up to the upside. See if that whole number, the 25,000, what it does there. Looking pretty rough on the 1, 2, and 5 again.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order submitted.
See if this thing's going to try to keep pushing down. I'm going to try to scalp this thing down to the downside and buy in anything when it pops up.
Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted.
Maybe it'll go on and sweep up there and pick up them other 3. Maybe I'll put a couple more up there. I still see rejection coming in. I'm thinking this is going to be a trap. They're going to come up here, try to get to the 50 EMA again, tag it for another leg down, and then I'm going to be aiming, thinking they're going to try to put in another lower low.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order canceled. Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted. Order submitted.
I'm looking for harder rejection than that, that's for sure. Okay, what we're looking for is if they take this low out right here, we should be able to get a bigger push to the downside. But first they're gonna have to get down here and break it and not just wick, below it, but maybe take it with a big candle.
Order canceled.
And we should see a bigger push. Maybe find some momentum come into it. Honestly, if they could take it out, you could think we'd get down into this area right here pretty fast if they take this out right here. Although we have this line here that we put in earlier, it's a possibility that it could bounce there. I guess in theory, maybe I should take profit at that line in case is at least one of them. I just want to hold them for as long as I can, actually. I'm going to move this down here if we take it out. I'd like to catch a decent move to the downside. Man, it would be glorious if they could come down here and take this out right here. This low over here in this green box where we had that run up. If they were to come all the way down here and sweep this low down here, there's no telling. I know we got that 4-hour trend line down there. Below that, we got that 4-hour box. And then here's the trend line with the S2 pivot. It's a long ways away. We're at 980 something. The trend line's at 798. So what we're talking about, 200 points away. That would be nice. See what happens if they can break this here and see if we find any momentum taking that low out. Look how they just stopped like right there at it. Need to find a hard candle right here, even pierce through this line real fast. Come on down to about 950. If they can get a hard candle down to close around 950, we could definitely see quite a bit more to the downside right here. Come on, push, push, push. Somewhere there's going to be a crack, and when they pass it, it's going to drop hard. 950, I think, would be that mark, maybe.
Order filled.
All right, we're still in it. I'm going to take that cover off there. That moved our one left to the very top of the wick on this trade right here. So, I'm going to let this breathe for a while and see, even if we have some bouncing going on in here where it wants to come back. I want to try to give it enough room to find a crack in the structure that's going to make it move. If we can find a crack in the structure and it moves pretty good, I may buy one more. Then it'll be averaged in it, but it'll drop my entryway down here somewhere now. So I don't know if I want to do that or just hold out with the one that I have. when we get down to our 954. That's real close to that 950 mark. Yeah, that whole 940, 950 area there. We definitely know that if it were to return all the way down to the low of the day down here, if it cracks this, then it's going to move fast. But there should be a crack here somewhere that's going to help it get there faster. Especially if they can't find any support to bounce it from right here. Ideally, if you want to maximize the room to breathe, you just leave it where it is and think that there's always a chance it comes all the way back to the 50 EMA at least as a retest and get up here into the trend line, which would put me close to break even. I'd be doing better, a little better than break even, but I'd be giving a lot back if I wait. Hopefully we don't get a bounce to that area, you know, maybe to the bottom side of this box here. We just passed that red marker there is 992. That is a yesterday's low, if I remember right. Prior low, yeah. You know, maybe they come up and try to retest that for another leg down, but we got we put in this higher high on this bounce, and then lower high, all lower lows. So you think we come up here anywhere in here with a bounce, as long as we get rejection, it's going to be another lower high tied in with all our lower lows for a possible another rejection for another leg down. Hope you guys are green today. Been able to get into some of these moves. Maybe we get our rejection right here for our next leg down. If they keep working the chart down like this, then eventually we probably will get to that low that we put in. The low of the day is in that green box. And could get interesting if we get down there and that does not support structure. If it breaks, we could have quite a bit of downside movement past that point. I still say if we get down here, see we got down to about 954. We get down to this 950 marker and can crack that. We're looking at something that could break a whole lot faster right down here if we can get past 950. EMAs. Ooh. I have the 921 and 50 on the chart. Sometimes I adjust them around. I always keep the 50. That's that pink line. And then the purple line, or the purple dots, is the 9, and the green is the 21. Sometimes I will adjust them, but typically I just leave those be the ones that are on there most of the time. And then sometimes I'll have something a little different on my trading view charts that I'm watching at the same time as well. I might have a different set on one of those charts. Nothing too crazy though. I think one on the other one might be the 8 and the 34 maybe. I'd have to go back and look. But the chart you're saying is 9 and 21, right? Is what it is right now. It's set on. Well, I'm hoping that they come back up here to retest this 50 EMA and would reject and not, done lost half my gains on this drive back with that one con. So I'm looking for rejection here. And I want to see this break the 950 and see what happens. It's hard to be patient and give it room to breathe and see your gains go. See and start losing gains. But sometimes that's what you got to do in order to, maybe get a larger move happen. And I think that if we could get a rejection here and get back down here to the 950 area so we can witness what it's going to do, I might be able to hold into this for longer. But I don't want to let this come all the way back up here and then lose all that profit and have to stop out at break even. Based on the bias and the trend of everything, you would think we're going to find rejection here. And now the momentum indicators are not quite overbought. They're really getting there on the 1 and the 2. Just not quite there yet. I'm surprised we hadn't seen more of a rejection out of this area as of now than what we have. But I can't see it returning back up here to where we are at, but it could. Looking for the rejection.
Where's it going to?
Right now I'm looking forward to try first. I'm looking forward to try to break 950. What I'm looking for. Excuse the Great Dane in the background. He was trying to answer questions, I guess. That wasn't quite as a follow through of a rejection as what I was looking for. But it still looks sort of like a trap. But in the event that they are going to try to drive us up, I'm probably need to put a stop up here because I'm not giving back all my gains. So much as I want to hold on to this as long as I can, I can't be letting it come back up there and test my entry. So we'll leave that in there and see if we can get down here to the crack. Yeah, it could most definitely be coming back to 25 for sure. Keeps tapping right into that area. You know, that's why it wicked above that 50 EMA. That's why I move that stop right there, because that's all I'm willing to give back. If it's gonna try to do it, I just want to be done with it. And then if we can get a harder rejection, say, you know, back down to the downside, I may start following it with my stop, but for now I'm going to leave this room for it to breathe. Either way, I'm good. I left the one hanging out to see if we can maximize on it. I did have more than one, and got out of those on the drive to the downside before this bounce. Right now it seems to have a hard time trying to get above the 50 EMA, so need to get another hard push to the downside off that candle. You know, hard push, another 15 points, get down to 970 to close. That would look a whole lot better for the next leg down. Come on, push. There we go. Keep pushing. It can keep on pushing down and close below 970 in the next 12 seconds, then maybe that next candle open up and put in a lower low would be ideal. Ideally, if they could put another hard candle like that in and close below 950, we should find that crack right there for a better drop. Or are they going to try to save it right here and protect this low that it put in? That's always a possibility. Feels like the downside pressure is mounting though, so close to that 950 area. So we waited, we waited, it bounced, retested that 50 EMA to give us, decide to hold on still, to give us some more breathing room to see what it would do off that 50 EMA. And here we are once again back to the level I keep talking about, to crack. Question is will we get it? We kind of swept that low, so we put in a lower low, but not by much. You know, we need another good red candle to the downside here. Break 950 and close down around 940 is what we need. And then we can start talking about whether or not we're about to tackle this low over here. Possibly. But nothing's a straight shot, you know, so, you know, we get down here, say we break 950, we could come down to the 930, 935 range real fast, and then it try to take a bounce out of there if we come there. Sure seems like they keep trying to protect this little zone we're talking about down here. Like they don't want to let it crack. This little zone right here. Hard push. Right through that line and close down here somewhere. I don't know what it is about that 950 area that they like so much that they don't want to let it go down. Makes me think that if they do crack it, that it's going to go further than I think. ATR is still sitting around 14 on the 1 minute. I'd like us to catch the move before I get off stream. I've already been on about an hour longer than normal today. Here we go. Maybe they're going to get to us. Maybe not. They can't make up their mind what they want to do. One thing's for certain, it's going to go one way or another. Up or down. Still see downside momentum coming in though, more so than upside momentum. The kill zone indicators oversold on the 1, 2, and 5 minute now at about 80. You know, although they could hold it down here at 80 and kind of still grind this to the downside and drive them indicators down a little bit more, but they hang out down here too long without finding some legs. You know, it's when you can find one of them hard red candles to the downside. Be fast and in a hurry to the downside. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for that I see here. And it's coming up on 11:30 here, so we'll see here in about 7 minutes. If that half hour number will interact with the volume coming in or out one way or another, or finding the crack in the chart. Like I said, if we do find it, if it does crack below 950, it could shoot down to 930 pretty fast, but maybe find some little support there maybe, or it could go even further than that. Might find a momentary bounce out of that area, but I want to see it do it while I'm still streaming, or make a decision one way or another what it's going to do while I'm still in the trade. It's having a hard time finding strength or any kind of legs under it right now for sure. Just a couple more minutes, see what happens at the 11:30 hour. Trying to be patient here and hold this. About 2 seconds be half hour number. Hadn't really done much yet. ATR is now just under 10 on the 1 minute. Still, it got close. It wicked up out of that 50 EMA and pulled back down. And there it is. I gave it time to breathe. Come back and swept the 50 EMA, stopped me out, and sucked back below the 50 EMA, and probably gonna go the other way, if I had to guess. I'm gonna wrap up the stream right here for today. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. I'll probably be on the stream about 8:15. Scheduled for 8:30. I usually get on about 15 minutes ahead of time, try to break down structure on the higher time frame and put a game plan together for today. If anybody wants to join in on that, I appreciate everybody showing up. And we're at 499 subs, almost to the 500 milestone. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you're looking to get funded, check out Bullinox or Trade Day. Use code FTE for the current discount. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.